All right, Sunday means Cutlass Day. That's right. It's another Sunday. It's another Cutlass video. And yeah, I'm working on it during the middle of the week because...
Hi, YouTube! Hey,
yeah. All right. So my kids this week start school. So we've got back to school shopping to do this weekend. Well, they start school Monday. So we've got back to school shopping to go do. And plus we're going to go somewhere and have some fun on probably either Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. Not quite sure yet. But it's going to take away all my time for working on this during the weekend. So we got to get some work done on this thing today. And I've got an idea of a couple things that need to get done. So I guess let's get through the intro and get to it. All right, so just a quick reminder to check your subscription while you're here, if you want to be subscribed to the channel. Occasionally, actually pretty regularly, people message and say they were unsubscribed from the channel. Maybe it's due to watching videos on your phone, because I have had it happen to me too. I got unsubscribed from Cutlass's channel recently, and didn't mean to do that. So, anyways, just check your subscription if you want to be subscribed to the channel. We would certainly appreciate that. It helps keep the channel relevant, keep more people interested in the channel. It helps with the YouTube algorithm and all that weird magic stuff that happens behind the scenes on the internet. So, what are we going to do today? What I'm looking at doing is, you can see that bar coming through the middle bar has some gussets on it. Well, that one does not. Well, we need to do that, and then somewhere on the back side of that, I need to work on the X. So we're going to have an X that goes from this top bar down to like that corner joint there, because that is where the anti-roll bar is going to mount. I've seen some cars done where the X is in this plane, like it would land, say, in this corner and then that corner over there. But I don't know if that's what I want to do yet or not. And the reason the seat is back in it is because if we're looking at this thing, let's get over here. We're looking at the joint from, if we were to land, you know, we're kind of looking at the car from this perspective right here. If we get the camera down right in that spot, you can see the top of the seat. Like if I'm trying to land the top of the X right up there, well, the seat is kind of in the way right there. So we want to make sure that the bar clears the seat. Ideally, I'd like for it to land right where this bar goes up and connects to the main hoop, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to be able to make that happen with the angle that I've got to work with here, because there may be interference with this bar and there may be interference with the seat. So I've got to start a mock-up piece and plus do those gussets up there in that corner. And the outer one is going to be a little bit fun because I want to keep it tight up to the roof. So it's going to have a bend in it. And you guys know how much fun bars with bends are. That one shouldn't be too bad because at least where it's going to land here isn't too curved, although it's got a little curve there. So it'll land, you know, right in line with this here and then kind of go up and then land over in that spot. And then the inside one will just be a nice, easy, straight one back to the main hoop. But instead of talking about it, I need to be about it and actually get some stuff done. So, yeah, let's go. Well, we're going to fire off into a time lapse here, like I mentioned just a second ago. And you may have noticed that this is a bit of a shorter video. And yeah, that's just kind of how this week worked out. I guess you'll see more of that later in this video, but for now, kind of my process here, you're going to see that I break out a tape measure, and it's kind of hard to see, but I put a mark up there on the roof diagonal, because what I'm looking to do is to make sure that I make the gussets the legal amount to match the spec. So there is a minimum spec, which is 4 inches for the gussets in the roof there. And now that I've got the mark, what I do is I take some blue tape that's 1 inch wide, which is what the size of the gusset is going to be. And I kind of tape it up there just to see, just so I can get a visual representation of it. Kind of just helps me. Sometimes you may change the angle of something, or you may change the distance, because it works out better for another bar that's coming in the future. So the tape kind of helps me visualize it. And kind of what it's going to end up doing here is, instead of landing that rear X on the outside funny car cage bar, what's going to end up happening is I land the X at the same location as one of these gussets. So I've mentioned it before in earlier videos, and if you haven't been around or to see one of those videos, I always try to land like bars that are like, say that rear X, I'm going to try and land it on the opposite side of the main hoop from where like one of these gussets lands. So maybe that makes sense the way I worded it, but the idea is that every time there is a bar pushing on another bar, like at the same location, just on the opposite side of the bar at that same point, I want the forces to continue on through another bar and distribute the load around the entire chassis without trying to bend the bars in the middle. So that's the reason why you'll see the X's kind of land at important parts in the chassis. So for example, like this X that I've talked about a little bit in the main hoop that I'm going to try and get to later, that is going to triangulate the anti-roll bar, as well as help support the front upper control arm mounts on the chassis side. Just try and make all those pieces very, very sturdy, so that when we are finally putting some power through this thing, the idea is that nothing bends and flexes and gives way, because anytime you have bending and flexing in a chassis, you are, at least in my opinion, you're working on a failure point where you will eventually get a crack or a failure in the chassis. So you may have noticed there was a little bit of dead time in some spots, because since this is a normal work day, I end up, as I'm walking across the shop, the guys may call me over to look at something. Hey, can you check this out? Give me your opinion on this before I keep going with it, because I've always encouraged them to do that, just because since, this is my business, I want to make sure that everything goes out the door as if I had done it myself. So the guys will get my opinion on stuff, double check stuff, bounce ideas off each other to make sure that we come out with a really, really good product as a finished result. And kind of interesting thing back to the tube fitting here, all of the time lapse up to this point has been fitting that outside curved bar, and this little angled bar that I'm working on right here, literally it was about 2 attempts, maybe 3 attempts at making it, and it's ready to weld in. So the angled ones, just because, with that angled part at the end where it bends down to the roof, the outer roof halo, that part there with making it level really kind of took some extra time to make sure that it was level with the back bar. Now, I didn't have to do that, but that's just one thing I really like to see, is that all of the horizontal bars in the entire car are all perfectly level with each other. Well, some days you just don't get done what you thought you'd get done. I mean, at least I got the gussets in, although they only have a third of the welding that they are actually going to need. I did kind of start right there at the end working on the X, but it's time to go pick up kiddos from gymnastics, and it's looking like it's going to end up landing right there, which is kind of cool. Lands right on the back side of the funny car cage, and that'll go down. I don't know if I'm going to land it on this tube or if I'll land it kind of just in this crevice down here and get all of it. Might do this tube so that if I ever did cut out the factory style 4-link later on down the road, it would come right out. But that little angled bar right there kind of whooped my butt. And if you saw on the time lapse, I did get it to where this level and this level are equal with each other. So it's kind of got a similar height, still warm. And it's at least up as high as it can be to give headroom over here, which there will be a Race Tech containment seat over on the passenger side of the car as well. I don't have 2 of the protective covers, but at least wanted to get one, because the plan is to do all the mocking up and all that with one, all the fitment, because they are the same size. So I'll get that all taken care of, and then I'll have mounts for both seats in the car by the time we get to the point of bolting seats in. I may make it back down here because I'm kind of disappointed I only got 2 bars done for this video. That's frustrating for me. I really want to put some progress in on this thing, and I may just have to jump over here during the week more often, because this was a bad week as far as for after hours stuff goes for me, and being able to be down here on my own stuff. I'm definitely disappointed I didn't get more done, but at least got something done. So I at least feel a little bit accomplished, because something is better than nothing. I just got to keep telling myself that. And if you're bogged down on your project, sometimes you just got to tell yourself that too, because you can't always get done what you think you're going to get done. And these cars can make you earn it, especially when it comes to fitting and doing custom stuff. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thanks again for watching, subscribing, following along. We'll see you guys next week on some videos on either Val's Camaro, maybe that car, definitely some on Reno's. We just got word today that the fenders are done for this thing finally, so we'll be able to get hang some fenders on it here pretty soon, and we should have the rings for the engine. I ordered the wrong set of rings, so we did have to wait on those, but it's time for me to go home. See you guys next time.